A fucking alien.
I think for this, we shouldn't even do a plot summary. I think that'll just happen as we go along.
Film's a travesty. There you go. Thanks for coming, ladies and gentlemen. This has been, what is this, episode 3?
Before we talk about the movie, we need to do the introduction. Okay, so
oh yeah,
films. We're back. Films under constant critique. Me, Maverick Drenzaria.
And then there's me.
Sorvin of Athena. And we have a guest.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I am Susano, and I am here on the Films Under Constant Critique podcast. It is absolutely wonderful to be here.
I like your podcast voice. That's nice.
Thank you. And today, what
just
film
talk like that the whole time.
just like do like a shoutcast the whole podcast. What?
Alternatively, we could put on a filter and talk in 1930s voices. Make it sound like an old radio program.
And today, what film are we talking about?
Okay, we're talking about the Highlander 2, The Quickening.
Yeah. Good film, great film. I like the part where he says there can be only two because it's Highlander 2.
Yeah, exactly. That's.
Unfortunately, we are discussing
seen Highlander
the Rise of Skywalker. I actually have not seen a Highlander 2 or 1.
I've seen like half of Highlander 1. I don't know why I never finished it because it's good.
I do quite like the first Highlander movie. And Highlander 2, I've grown a soft spot for just because of how bad it is.
Yeah.
But anyway, unfortunately, we're not talking about Highlander 2. We're talking about the hopefully last Star Wars film, The Rise of Skywalker.
Mm-hmm. The Star Wars film that single-handedly, well, actually, pretty much all of the sequels shit on the franchise, but this one especially just shit on the George Lucas's entire legacy.
There's one thing that I read about that I think perfectly sums up the production of this movie.
Actually, did not do any trivia for this. So this might help fill that void.
Well, yeah, this is one thing that I have. So I assume you all remember the absolutely horrible line.
Yes.
They fly now, right?
Absolutely not. I have no idea what you're talking about.
Well, apparently, every time that they watched that movie during production, every time they got to it, J.J. Abrams would just be waiting for that part, because he hated the line so much, but for some reason, they weren't allowed to cut it, and he would just, like, cringe super hard every time he heard that line.
Clearly, he loves this movie.
And I just feel like that represents the entire movie.
They
just
fly
so many
now.
baffling choices.
Pretty much.
And then, like, it feels like no one was in control who should have been in control.
Movie. Like, they just stitched it together based on, like, oh, this did well in previews, you know. We'll just try and please everybody at once. And then, as a result, they pleased, like, hardly anybody.
Oh, yeah.
I think first, though, we should talk about some of the positives, because there are things that I did enjoy about this movie.
So, this came out December 20th, 2019. I don't know what day you guys saw this.
I saw it. I think I saw it the day it came out with my brothers.
I saw it like the week that it came out, but I very intentionally watched it illegally because I did not want to give Disney my money.
Actually, my dad had a heart surgery like a few days before this movie came out, so he watched it in home from some Russian
that sounds about
site.
similar to.
Did
to
he
what
watch
I
it
did.
in Russian?
Yeah, he watched the Russian dub
There were
shows up. He says like, "That's Slovia, comrades."
I would just like to say that on the pirated version I watched, there were like Middle Eastern gambling website ads spaced evenly throughout the entire movie, and it would just
what's funny?
It would just be the most random.
The middle of Last Jedi is a Middle Eastern gambling ad.
Yeah.
So that's actually pretty fitting.
And they didn't try to make the placements of the ads make any sense either. It would just be thrown like in the middle of dialogue and shit like that. It was pretty great.
I have a bad feeling about. Please come to the resort and gamble away all your money. Bad feeling about this.
And it was in like 480 or 360, so
even better.
The worst possible picture
How
quality.
Movies are meant to be watched.
So pretty much the viewing experience reflected the quality of the film.
I had an interesting viewing experience.
What was that?
I saw this in theaters the day after it came out. It was like the morning, like December 21st. I went to see it with some of my family members. And we actually got some really good seats. The seats were really comfortable, actually. That was probably the best part of the movie.
I was about to say, yeah.
And
I actually saw this movie.
I'll let you go after.
Sorry, yeah.
So I remember I was just sitting there in the theater. The credits came up, the crawl, the opening crawl, and as I was reading through it, I was going, "Oh no, is this what I'm in for?"
Mm-hmm.
And then all throughout the movie, just every plot reveal, just everything, I was just rolling my eyes and almost laughing at how absurd it was. Then it ended.
It was pretty
My cousin was
dumb.
sitting next to me. He just turned to me and said, "Well, what'd you think of it?" And and then I said, "Well, I'd be lying if I said I wasn't a little disappointed." Because I didn't want to be rude or anything, since they paid for it. But, yeah.
So I ended up seeing this 3 times in theaters.
Oh, you poor soul!
3 times.
Each time.
Why 3? Okay.
Each
why
time.
3 times? Please explain to me
It's
why.
akin to torture.
So, hold on. Sorry, dying. Anyway, the first time was because, it just came out. I wanted to see how it ended. That was on release day, and interestingly, despite the fact that it was, the day the movie came out, the theater was basically empty. I had no problems getting seats for 3 people to sit in a row. It was bizarre. Then I saw it again a few weeks later once my dad was able to go out and about, so we could go, see it in theaters.
The pirated Russian version.
Exactly. And then I saw it one more time the last week it was there, because I was like, well, this could be the last Star Wars movie for a while. You can see it in theaters. Might as well see it again just to say that you did.
Well, how unfortunate.
3 times.
Oh, yeah. And my story for seeing it was basically, I wanted to see it because ever since Episode 7 came out, it has been a tradition that every Christmas season I see the new Star Wars. Every single one of them I've seen.
Yeah.
But
I've
this
seen
time,
all days in theaters.
I knew that it was going to be the worst one yet, and I just refused to give Disney my money this time, so that's why I pirated it.
And did it live up to your expectations, however low they were?
Well, on on that subject, we were originally this segment was we were going to talk about the positives of the film, and yet we just still ended up shitting on it anyway because that's what we're talking about.
We tried to introduce.
Let's try to do the positives.
So the one part that I remember that I actually thought was pretty cool was the end fight scene with the end space battle. They had like all the different types of starfighters, and they had the B-wings in there. And like for some reason in the new movies they like introduced the, what is it called, the V-wing, or it's the big blue one that was in Rogue One. I don't remember, but they're like introducing all these new ships that don't fit the time period in the lore of Star Wars.
World War
and it's like, why did we never see these in the other? Oh yeah, and they had B-wings in the final fight in Rise of Skywalker, and I was like, oh, the B-wing, that's so cool that they remember that. So, but that was it. That was about it. They did have Ahsoka in the final scene when Rey's like channeling all the Jedi Force Ghost energy. They had like voice lines from all the like top Jedis of all time, and they had a voice line from Ahsoka from Clone Wars, and that was really, really cool that they bothered to put that in the main movie.
I was pretty excited to hear that. I was also excited to hear Hayden Christensen came back to do a voice for Anakin.
Oh yeah.
By the way, slightly off topic, but the Kenobi TV series that's being produced for Disney Plus, apparently Hayden Christensen just got signed on for.
Oh shit!
McGregor was it?
Yeah, so.
And also, it's a TV series. I did not know.
Yes, I think it's going to be a series anyway. Maybe. Anyway, back on focus, whatever.
I probably like this movie more.
I personally,
which isn't saying much, but because I can name a few things I liked about it, which again isn't saying much, but
I think that the movie itself was shot pretty well. And the sets, I think, were spectacular, especially on Exegol, or however it's pronounced.
The Sith planet?
It says a lot.
Yeah. Like when they're going down into... When they're going down to Palpatine's chambers, all the giant Sith statues everywhere, the Colosseum it ends in.
The sets were really good.
The mechanical life support throne that Palpatine was attached to, I thought looked awesome.
Oh yeah, it's like the Mario Brothers movie. It's not good, but it's really cool.
It looks cool.
It looks really cool.
I'd much rather watch that.
And then
I'm sure we all would.
Oh yeah. I also actually enjoyed Palpatine's performance.
Oh yeah, Ian McDiarmid.
Of course.
It was fun to watch. You could tell that he was having a blast.
Definitely the best part of the movie, and the worst part as well, in some ways. But we'll get to that.
That was one of the ultimate. That was like one of the worst travesties.
But his performance itself is good. I liked that.
Oh yeah.
In the opening credits. They just say, "Oh yeah, Palpatine has come back to life." Just no explanation off screen.
The first words were "the dead speak" with an exclamation point. And once I saw that, I was like,
so
"Oh
dumb.
my god, really?"
They were trying to do like a Clone Wars intro. Like it would have made more sense if it was being narrated. Like, "Oh, the dead speak," but it's the crawl,
Sith.
So it doesn't work.
What did
actually
Revenge of the Sith have in its crawl? It had like something and an exclamation point, right?
I think it was.
Was it just?
It might have been. I don't remember.
Okay. Mm-hmm. I should have rewatched.
Real quick about that.
Preparation or whatever.
After that Palpatine bit, they mentioned that there was just a coded message that they got where it was a video of Palpatine speaking that he's back or whatever. That was actually shown in an exclusive Fortnite event.
Why did they put it in the movie?
What? Excuse me?
Yep, so if you want the full story, not only do you have to read the novelization, which clears up certain facts that I personally think are dumb, but you had to attend you had to attend the Fortnite event to see the message. It's just bizarre.
Now,
and was it even like Star Wars Fortnite, or was it just regular Fortnite?
Just regular Fortnite. There was just a screen, and all of a sudden,
Palpatine.
I don't remember when it happened. I think it was only like a few weeks before the movie came out.
Yeah, definitely not May the 4th. Well, what the hell? I am loath to compare the current state of Star Wars to Bionicle, because Bionicle is an excellent franchise. But that's a Bionicle move, you know? You can't get all of the information on the story in one place. You have to play all the games, read all the comics, watch all the movies, etc., and only then can you do that. But for something as big as Star Wars, that's just dumb.
Especially if it's a main movie. You should have the main movies be able to explain all the important parts.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Okay,
Oh, another positive.
Max
Another
is
positive.
just wanting to kill us over there. I just know it.
I can't. I mean, if you found something better about the movie that like you actually like about it, then good. Because I did not enjoy this movie. I'm glad if you enjoyed it.
The thing is, I didn't enjoy it. I'm just trying to give it a fair do and try and find something in it that was at least decent.
Yeah,
I enjoyed towards the beginning Kylo Ren when he was on Mustafar.
Yes.
I thought that was a
the opening was
cool
pretty
scene.
Good. I like
but
what actually.
But the one thing that confuses me
and stuff. I did kind of like the
yeah. The one thing that confuses me, though, is why did he do a moonwalk move to stab a dude behind him? Like, that just seems a bit excessive.
Come on.
I don't even remember that.
Yeah, he like spins around and he starts moonwalking and then stabs a dude behind him.
Because he's a smooth.
While leaving a trail of fire behind him, behind you.
I don't. Does he do a moonwalk? Are you serious?
Yeah, he does. Oh, I need to pull this up because it's just.
I'll have to.
He wasn't a smooth criminal. He was a rough criminal because there was so much friction when he did the moonwalk that it set the ground on fire.
Here we go. Let me see.
The song "Bad" would be pretty fitting for this movie. But not that kind of bad, but like bad, like oh it sucks, not like.
Oh, the scene. Okay.
Link it, throw it in it. Throw it in
Link it, Go to about 25 seconds in.
25 seconds.
Yeah. Because then he does the weird throw thing on the ground.
Yeah, why does he do the moonwalk? That is not proper Form 7. Also, on that note, I would like to say probably the reason why I enjoy this movie much less than the average person is because I have an inability to look at it objectively at this point, because I'm a huge Star Wars lore master.
Okay,
so
that makes
like
sense.
every single little detail that they get wrong, I just notice it like it's under a magnifying glass. I'm just like, ugh. So that's why I
heard that
in particular don't like it.
The expanded universe and stuff as you are, so that would definitely explain that.
If you weren't that much like you've seen the main films, but you weren't big into all the other stuff.
I'm just into like the movies, and that's about it.
Yeah, then I can see how you could enjoy it quite a bit more. But I mean, even just the average person who doesn't know much about Star Wars looking at this can take a look at it and be like, there's something not quite right here.
I still don't think it was good, though. In fact, actually, Nick might be surprised about this. This is my least favorite Star Wars film. At least of the live action.
Oh yeah, I'm with
stuff.
you there.
I actually still consider Last Jedi to be worse.
I'll explain why Last Jedi is better than this, at least in my opinion. Last Jedi was a total mess and is the second worst of the live action stuff. But it at least was one guy's vision. Whereas this one just feels like, oh, let's just try pleasing just everybody. Like Last Jedi at least took some risks story wise. Whereas this one,
it tried to do something different.
This one's just no. Because Last Jedi, because one thing with the Last Jedi, I watched. I don't know if you guys have seen it. Have you guys seen Knives Out?
No,
I'm not.
Yet.
I watched Knives Out, which is the same director, Rian Johnson, and then I realized kind of what he was trying to go for with The Last Jedi, because Knives Out has a bunch of plot twists, plot reveals. It was like a mystery, and he was kind of trying to do the same thing with Star Wars, except it was terrible.
Yeah. Just didn't work with what they were going for.
My personal ranking of why I'm putting this...
It was like the exact opposite problem. Like, Last Jedi they gave too much creative control to someone that did not know what they were doing. And then Rise of Skywalker was a committee film. It was just made to, like,
I kind of rank the movies based on how much I enjoy watching them or how much fun I had. There's not enough interesting things that happen in The Last Jedi until like the very end, which is a similar problem that I have with Attack of the Clones.
This film.
Yeah, I found that there was a lot more scenes that even if they weren't necessarily good, I enjoyed more in this film compared to Episode 8.
And we also have a differing opinion because you like Attack of the Clones less than Phantom Menace, whereas I'm the other way around. I find Attack of the Clones more entertaining than the Phantom Menace, because Phantom Menace...
I'm probably with you there. I think I like
Phantom
Attack
Menace
of the
has more
Clones.
slow parts for me. And I like both those movies more than this, to be fair, if that isn't clear.
And that's something we can definitely appreciate about the sequel films, is that they have made people really scrutinize the prequels and see what was good about them. Like, for instance, the lore. They stuck 100% to the Star Wars lore, and they expanded upon it where it needed it. Like, for instance, the lightsaber combat. Like, the lightsaber combat was not great in the original trilogy just because of the filmmaking technology they had at the time, the materials, everything.
Empire Strikes Back is a really good
in the prequels,
I think.
Oh, it does. It does, but it's not like your classic Jedi, like flipping around and doing all sorts of crazy moves and stuff
going on there. It's just
and they really put a lot of care into those fights.
Phantom Menace has
especially
one of my favorite lightsaber duels. That's easily the best scene in the movie.
What I think the sequel trilogy has done for me is it's made me appreciate having one unified vision for a trilogy.
Regardless of your...
Because this feels like...
problems with the prequels, it was one, vision. Whether it was coherent or not, it was George Lucas's idea. A lot of people would argue it's not coherent.
This was just... The sequels are just a mess, because you had Episode 7, which was made by one guy.
Ahead of time.
Yeah. 7 was made by one guy who's like, hey, I want the story to go in this direction. Then the next director came up and said, I don't like that, I'm taking it this direction. Then the first director came back and was like, no, we're going back to mine, kind of.
Except this time we're going to have the frickin' suits upstairs just shoving their fingers in everything.
To quote Freed Bratton, that's exactly what happened.
I think a big problem that I had with this is it tried too much to forget about Episode 8.
Yeah.
And it feels like what happened is the first half of this movie was supposed to be a replacement for Episode 8. And then the last half was supposed to be Episode 9.
It definitely felt like, to me, while watching it, felt like just multiple movies just mashed up into one.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Very
there's too much going on at once.
Yep.
All within the span of,
and as a result,
single day.
The pacing just suffered immensely. Scenes just would go on with just no flow to them at all. The editing was just so bad. The scenes,
there's something that just
were way too short. They would just go, here's a minute in this place, then a minute in this place, minute in that place, this place, that place, this place, that place. It just, oh my god, it drove me crazy.
Something that baffles me is Carrie Fisher's scenes.
They were very
because those were taken from leftover footage
cut out. It would not
that they had from the previous versions. Not just that, but I'm trying to figure out when would those scenes have fit in either 7 or 8. Because they were supposedly taken from cut footage from those movies.
There's probably a reason they were delayed scenes then.
Yeah. But I don't see anywhere where they would have worked.
Well,
definitely a disappointment. This is like her last film, basically.
Yeah.
Since episode 7, definitely those people at Disney have been overusing dead actors, which I'm not a fan of.
Like Tarkin in Rogue One. A guy who's so dead, he died before any of us were born.
Now, CG Tarkin did look decent. You can still tell that it's CG,
but
it looked pretty good.
But yeah, it was for considering how far CGI has come. Like, yeah, it was pretty impressive. It was definitely better
and yet
than
still,
the CGI Arnold in Terminator Salvation.
Oh, absolutely. But still, CG Tarkin looks worse than the cutscenes in Halo 4. A game which came out in, 2015? 14? I think it came out in 2014.
I don't know.
It's like, what the fuck are you doing? Seriously. You can do better than that. Well, you have like a budget of like $150 trillion or something, Disney, right? Like, come on.
That's,
please.
I think you have it confused with Bill Gates' bank account, not their budget.
Yeah.
There's one huge problem that I actually have with the entire sequel trilogy as a whole that just culminates in this one. And that is the misuse of Finn's character.
Yes.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Went nowhere with him.
If you look at
that was one of my biggest
advertisement material for
The Last Jedi was they did nothing with his character.
If you look at the advertising material for Episode 7, they build up Finn a lot. They give him a lightsaber,
and
he has his own character arc.
Too, like this guy that defects from the stormtroopers and joins the rebels
instead,
and then they don't go anywhere with it.
Yep. Because in Episode 7, he has his character arc where he defects, and then he's afraid and he's trying to hide, but in the end he stands up to the First Order and helps fight against them. And then in the next movie, they make him revert back to, I'm going to hide and run away more. And then he decides to stand up and fight against him again.
And he tries to sacrifice himself, but they don't let him.
Yep. And he tries to sacrifice himself again in Episode 9. They don't let him.
Yep.
And in fact, beyond that, he served no role in Episode 9 whatsoever.
Yes.
And what I hate was the secret that he was keeping from Poe, because it makes no sense.
Basically, all the plot details in this movie make no sense, so you're not alone there.
Well, they never even reveal the secret in the movie, but they talk about it in the novelization. He's force sensitive.
Come on, they could have used
that.
Of
course he is.
Why didn't they
do it? Of course he is.
Like, if they would have built up his character so he would have become, like, a force wielder by the end, that would have been awesome. But no.
The direction I thought they were going to go was, but of course they didn't, because they didn't want to be original, I thought Rey was going to turn to the dark side in this one, and then Finn would have to stop her.
That would have been way
awesome.
cooler.
I was actually thinking that in Episode 8, for a little while, that Rey might have, defected, and that either Finn or maybe Luke would then have to fight against both Kylo and Rey.
That would have been cool.
The fact we're just
that would have been a really good
idea. Ideas for doing this, that would have been better. Just tells you how little effort was put in.
Let's not forget how unimportant Snoke was in this entire operation.
Yeah, he was just, Palpatine was just like, oh yeah, I made him. No problem. Easy, I just whipped him up.
That was one of the most...
I had some free time, I was like, yeah, I'll generate my own life form.
Ridiculous things in this movie. He just has him in, like, a tank.
Hold
on, let's talk about that. Why is he growing more Snokes?
What's the line from Hades? Add a pinch of memories to a ton of souls, put them in a blender, and hit frappe. Excuse me.
Like, why is he growing more Snokes? What purpose is it going to serve?
Jurassic Park 3, where they find those tanks full of velociraptors that are just growing them in. And that was the point in the movie, after the opening crawl, obviously. But that was the point in the movie where I'm like, no, are they really going this direction? And then they just explain, like, oh yeah, he was pulling the strings the whole time.
Yep.
They could have just... Pull the string!
I would have been less mad at him if they would have
hinted
made
to
it Palpatine
earlier.
from the beginning.
Maybe if they...
Exactly.
It would have made it didn't make any sense. It would have never made any sense, but I would have been less upset at him.
Not only that, but, once again, back to the novelization, turns out that's not the real Palpatine, it's a clone.
Of course, yeah, like in the extended universe, before they... Yeah. Well, in the extended universe, before they got rid of it, they did... Palpatine was basically all-powerful, and he was able to clone himself and stuff like that, but...
The problem that I have with it is, if it's a clone of Palpatine, why is he so, gnarled and eaten away like that?
The dark side.
I mean, yeah, but he hasn't really been doing anything except sitting on his weird mechanical throne for 30 years.
He's been being
eaten 30 years. To have some, go easy on it.
That was actually, I joke about just the dark side, but that was pretty much the explanation for everything that Palpatine is able to do in this film. How are you you fell down an elevator shaft or whatever, and then you exploded, and then the whole Death Star exploded. How are you alive? The dark side. How are you able to raise all those Star Destroyers just out of the ground? Why are they in the ground? The dark side.
Those ships have been waiting down there a long time.
Yeah. They just kept building me. This is yo, I've been waiting for you, Kylo, because I want to show you this neat trick I can do. Watch this.
This is something we brought up in when me and Nick did the video talking about our expectations for this movie. One of the things I brought up is that bringing Palpatine back basically makes the entire original trilogy pointless.
Yep, completely.
Because that's what they're trying to and it makes Darth Vader's character arc pointless. He killed the Emperor, threw him down the shaft, and then oh no, he's back. Well, what was the point of those movies?
This means that Anakin is not the chosen one either.
Nope. His purpose was to bring balance to the Force, and it's nope, now it's Rey. It's going to do it, I guess. And of course, when an outsider to Star Wars, here's that line, Anakin is going to bring balance to the Force or whatever, what that really means in universe is that there is an equal number of dark and light side users, or that neither of them have the potential to cancel, or they just cancel each other out. One doesn't rule over the other. That's how come the Palpatine didn't succeed, despite planning his entire life how to take over the galaxy. Basically, the Force, much like nature, in homeostasis, it is always trying to lead towards exact balance, the exact center. So that's how come it happened.
Perfectly balanced, all things should be.
You want to know something that I just remembered as well?
What?
It deals with the plot twist of Rey in this movie, how, she's the granddaughter of Palpatine.
God, that was so stupid.
Once again, the novelization ruins some things.
Okay. Did you
Let's hear it.
read the novelization in preparation for this?
I didn't read it, but I read everything that was mentioned in it. Palpatine's son was in fact not his biological son, but rather Palpatine's clone.
Wait. Wait.
What the fuck?
Wait. His own clone is his son.
Yep.
That'd be like finding
and
out...
in War, but you play as a cybernetic Navy SEAL sent back in time to assassinate your own self.
That'd be like if in Twins, Danny DeVito is actually Arnold Schwarzenegger's father, or something.
This is the exact thing that Jango Fett did with Boba Fett, by the way.
Oh, come on. Really? He's his own... Oh, why? Just why?
Palpatine is his own son. Oh, Jesus Christ.
And once again, the novelization does something that makes this trilogy entirely pointless.
And what's that?
Yes.
Poe, Poe, the
Edgar
pilot
Allan
with no
Poe?
force sensitivity
Poe
shown
from Kung Fu
whatsoever. He's talking to someone, I don't remember who, but they basically mention that he thinks that since Palpatine was so strong, there's a chance he's not dead.
Oh.
Of course. You gotta crank out another 500 films. Gotta just turn... Frickin', well, I mean, Star Wars was turned into an annual franchise,
It
I
was
suppose.
already
That's not
a
even a joke, that's
franchise
just
by
sad.
1978.
Yeah.
Thanks to, like, the merchandise.
Yeah, but it was...
and the
They took their
holiday
time,
special.
at least. Yeah, Happy Life Day. They do actually mention Life Day in The Mandalorian, which I thought was pretty
Yeah, they did. That was interesting. But yeah, so the novelization takes a train wreck and makes it worse.
It takes the train wreck and then...
Which is usually not what happens.
And then takes away the rails, basically. Or adds another train, I guess.
Oh, back onto the subject of wasted characters. The Knights of Ren make their first on-screen appearance in this film.
Red.
I don't even remember.
We are
I
the
think that
knights?
my brain suppressed
We
it from
are
my
the
memory.
knights who say red.
Yeah.
I really want to know why they weren't shown.
I didn't know who
at
they
all
were, honestly.
in episode
Well, what do
8.
they even look like? Let me look that
They're
up.
the guys that
They're
follow
like-
Kylo Ren around.
They look like Kylo Ren derivatives.
Knights of Ren. Yeah, they're just like cosplayers of Kylo Ren. Like,
Kylo
what?
Ren.
They're not even very good. One of them has like a frickin' like Cloud's Buster sword, but like meat cleaver version.
Someone's just wearing like an Imperial pilot.
Pretty
helmet.
much, yeah. Yeah, I see that. So it's just so. Can we talk about this? The whole film feels like a fan fiction that like the ideas of it were presented by like a 4th or 5th grader. You know, like just for instance. Having the Death Star lasers mounted to Star Destroyers. That sounds like absolutely something you would come up with if you were like in 4th grade. Because
I forgot about that.
And he's been alive the whole time.
And he's been alive the whole time, and he has all Star Destroyers under the ground. He makes them raise up the Force dark side, because now he's come back. He's a million, billion, trillion, billion times more powerful than he used to be, and all the Star Destroyers have Death Star lasers on them.
And he has a weird
and Rey comes back, and Ahsoka's there.
Can we discuss the scene where Palpatine becomes all powerful real quick?
Yeah.
Why is he wearing? Where did he? Okay. So before this, we see him in the traditional black robes of evil.
Whatever you're about to ask, just to tell you, there's probably not an answer to it because they sure aren't gonna give you one.
So why is he after he gains ultimate power? Why is he wearing like a red and gold bathrobe?
Isn't that what he wore in the Senate? Hang on, let me.
Right?
Palpatine.
I don't. Was it?
Didn't he wear a red robe in that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that was what he was. Yeah, I'll send a picture of it.
A wed wobe.
Because I couldn't tell. It just looked like a bathrobe to me. Yeah.
It was his senatorial clothes. But now let me look up Palpatine, all powerful.
That's what he was doing. He was just giving Snoke a bath in that tank.
Okay, well, there's literally no images.
Yeah, I'm trying to find.
One thing I'd like to mention: the strobe effects.
Oh yeah, that got a little painful after a while.
Theaters, there was actually a warning outside that said that.
Wow.
That said, like the flashing lights might cause seizures or something. And then I went in there and I'm like, wow, they weren't kidding.
Mm-mm.
Hold on, I might have found an image and it looks slightly different. Hold on. Let me see if I can find a better one. Because this just shows part of it.
Oh, you've been misnaming him, by the way. His name's not Palpatine, it's the Senate.
The Senate. I am the Senate.
I can't find it anywhere. Sith Eternal the Palpatine, that's what I need to look up.
Sith Eternal the Palpatine.
Can we just go over?
So this is a cool cult that came out of nowhere, by the way. The Sith Eternal.
Yeah.
That all died in this
That was
movie.
Something,
Yep.
Okay, so I was around the same time I rewatched this. I was also watching another science fiction film series called Planet of the Apes. I'm sure you've heard, at least
good series.
Heard of it.
Mm.
Beneath the Planet of the Apes. I don't know if you guys have seen that one, but the ending of that kind of reminded me of this movie. because there's like a cult underground, they got hoods, and they use mind powers. And they have like a weird church service at one point. Yes, this is in a Planet of the Apes film.
No.
By the way, Beneath the Planet of the Apes, way better sequel than this. Way better sequel than this.
Oh, of course.
I'll take any Planet of the Apes movie over this.
The original Planets of the Apes were good.
Yeah. Especially the first one. That's one of my favorites. Take your stinking
Do you remember?
off me, you damn dirty ape.
Damn dirty ape!
Do you remember in this movie how they killed off Chewbacca?
God. That was another thing.
And then they killed off C-3PO, and then they didn't.
I had that in the back of my mind. I wanted to talk about
too.
that. I was like, that is a cardinal sin of any media, whether it's a book or a graphic novel or a show or a movie or whatever. You do not kill off someone and with no reason. And especially you don't bring them back to life, because that
Not
just
only
invalidates
that,
the whole thing.
The reason was so stupid. They're like, oh, they put him on another ship. What other ship?
Like off screen.
It was the middle of a desert. There was nothing
there was
else
no
there.
other
The
ship.
only part of the movie where I was actually emotionally invested was the scene where they're wiping C-3PO's memory. I was like actually genuinely sad there, and then they just ruined it.
Yeah.
And you really do
They
think it's going to
ruined
be
it.
the end. It's like, oh no, R2-D2 has it. Yep.
There were some great emotional stakes,
Also,
and then it's
Sid-
just all for naught.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of wish that C-3PO would have stayed in the red-eyed state.
That was pretty cool. It was
'Cause
like
that
an
was
eerie,
cool.
because you've never seen him other than like his normal personality.
Yeah,
And then
like,
suddenly he starts talking like that and
He's
behaving
got
like
the-
that, and it's like, oh
yeah,
shit.
like that
He's
was
got the
cool.
red eyes. He's
Yeah.
angry like Johnny Five. Whenever Johnny Five gets angry.
I am pissed off.
I was also watching the Short Circuit movies around the time I rewatched this.
Oh God.
I actually like the first one. I actually enjoyed the first Short Circuit movie.
The ending. We'll just talk very briefly about the ending of Short Circuit 2 when he's all gold-plated and he goes and he's like, "How do you feel, Johnny?" "I feel alive." And he jumps up and it's a freeze frame.
His citizenship. He becomes the first
Yeah.
robot citizen.
And also, how does he jump?
I don't.
He doesn't have the he has like treads
I
as
have
it.
no
You know what?
idea.
Whatever.
But there's a lot of movies from the 80s that just end with freeze frames like that.
Yeah.
Talking about the endings of movies, the ending of this
the
movie.
ending of Beneath the Planet of the Apes, they blow up the whole fucking planet. I'm not even joking.
Okay, full disclosure.
Charlton Heston just pushes
After-
the button and it's just all gone. And then they're like, oh, let's make more sequels. Even though they
Yep.
haven't...
Blew up the fucking
Although the way they
planet.
got around it was actually pretty clever. They decided to like have it like set in the past by having like some of the characters, you know,
Yeah.
Zira and Cornelius, they escape to Earth in the past. So the planet still got blown up anyway, but they're in the past. And then that's when the whole ape uprising happens in Conquest of the Planet of the Apes.
Full disclosure, after Rey, doesn't... I remember the last scene of Rise of Skywalker that I can consciously remember is when Rey is, channeling all the Jedi Force ghosts. After that, it's completely blank. I don't know what happens after that. I do not remember.
Basically, she constructs her own lightsaber, which is kind of cool looking. I forgot about that.
And
I forgot about that.
She has the ability to force heal anything, but she can't do it to him because plot reasons.
Well, no, she was the one that was dying. She was the one that was dying, and so then Kylo gave her his life force, and that's what happened.
Vampire zombies that suck out your life force. Which there was a part of the movie that reminded me of them.
So,
because Palpatine tries sucking out their life force. Also, Life Force, way better movie than this.
Rey's lightsaber is yellow. That's cool. I'm glad they did that.
It is. It's interesting too because there's not a button she presses. She has to twist something on it.
Oh, that's something that we can talk about for all of the sequel trilogies. Nobody knows where the frick the button is to activate the blade on Anakin's lightsaber. They get it. It's incredibly inconsistent. Different actors press it in different spots in different movies.
Even in the future, nothing works.
Yeah. Also, here's something to think about. You remember in Episode 7 when Rey picked up the lightsaber and then went through the flashbacks?
Mm-hmm.
Nothing ever comes of that.
Oh yeah.
Never used again.
Flashback with Princess. Yeah. That was another thing. You have flashbacks of Princess Leia using a lightsaber. Come on.
Yeah.
Why won't you use that?
It's like Cockewin's voodoo painting ability. Just never mentioned again. It's not important.
Gone forever.
Whose voodoo painting ability?
In JoJo Part 3.
Oh, okay. I
in the beginning, in the first episode, one of the main characters who is initially evil, he's brainwashed. He has the ability to paint, and then his painting affects people. If he does a stroke of red, it slashes them with blood or something like that. And he does that in the first episode, and then as soon as they turn into the good side, it's never mentioned again for the entirety of the JoJo series.
Yep.
Can we just go over the different plot twists this movie tries and fails at?
Oh, shoot.
So
go ahead.
You have... Okay. So you have Rey being Palpatine's granddaughter, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
I like how in the previous one, Kylo Ren's just going, "Oh, your parents were nobody," just all this.
And then they're like, "Nope, we're gonna walk back on that."
Would have liked it more if they were nobody.
Actually, there is kind of a loophole because, technically, he's kind of right because her parents were nobody, but her grandfather wasn't.
Except if you follow the novelization, in which apparently she's not even his granddaughter; she's also his daughter.
And
his clone's daughter.
His clone.
Hold on, I need to pull up Palpatine's son because there must have been some heavy modifications to this son to make him look like this.
Another one. You have Hux, who turns out to be a spy. Just out of nowhere.
I forgot about that.
Of course, I noticed that because of how much I hate Hux. But
see, Hux had the potential to at least be a competent character, but then starting with Episode 8, they turned him into just a joke.
Mm-hmm.
I already didn't like
and that
him
continued
from the
into this one.
Because in the first one, he gave that speech, and I was just like, just shut up, please. And then, the characters even kind of acknowledge how dumb it is. Finn, says, "I knew it," and then Poe says, "No, you did not."
What What about Mon Mothma? What about the travesty of a character that is Mon Mothma?
Also, a positive Hux dies. Finally.
Yeah. He gets just shot straight up in the chest.
By Richard E. Grant. Which is a negative, because you have Richard E. Grant, you give him nothing to do.
Yeah.
He's just in the background, basically.
Except it makes it kind of seem like he knew that Palpatine was going to return if you listen to some of the dialogue.
And at this point, there's nothing. You're exhausted just thinking about this film.
I'm just trying to think of what else is just.
I did kind
bad.
of
forgive our silence, audience, but we're just we can't think about it anymore.
It'll be edited anyway, so.
Oh, I got you.
Oh, remember Rose from episode 8?
She does nothing.
Doesn't she die?
She does nothing in this film.
She doesn't die in this film. She shows up twice, and both lines are making fun of her character from the previous film.
Because everybody
doesn't she die? Isn't it the sacrifice of episode 8, or was that also just not? We're not.
No. She stops Finn from sacrificing himself.
Doesn't she die?
But
in the process?
Both live. No, she lived.
That's fucking dumb.
You could say
this
that
whole film.
About this movie, basically.
Oh yeah. The whole thing.
One thing I do kind of I did kind of like the lightsaber fight they have on top of the Death Star.
That one was pretty cool.
Waves and stuff. Although maybe that was just because I was playing Beatles music over it. I was like playing "We Can Work It Out" over that scene. It went perfectly.
I just remembered something else that I hated about this movie.
What's that?
Oh,
how they beat Palpatine in the end.
Wait, Nick, there's something you hate about this movie? Really?
Yes.
Incredible.
It's how Palpatine is. It's how Palpatine is beat in the end.
God, yeah,
I don't even remember.
His death was
basically
so
he's just trying to shoot Force lightning at Rey. She just holds up 2 lightsabers and just walks towards him, and then he just disintegrates.
Yep.
Yeah, that was pretty
It's
lame.
So bad.
What you know
they should have given him a lightsaber.
You know what that means? It means Count Dooku is more powerful than the Emperor. According to Attack of the Clones.
They didn't capitalize on anything.
Rey was using the same technique that Mace Windu was using in Episode 3. Except this time Palpatine was at like 2,000% power.
Imagine if Mace Windu showed up and just said, "I'm back, motherfuckers."
Yeah. I wish they would do something with him, like it's up in the air if he's dead or not still in the lore to this day. But,
Thank you, novelization.
Yeah. I don't know.
Also, you get some cameos from Harrison Ford. Because he wanted, he wanted more money, so they let him have a cameo.
You probably had to pay him like $600,000 just to get him to show up for like all of the 10 seconds that he does or whatever.
Look, I got a plane I need to fix. Could you give me some money?
It was confirmed that, I don't know why they needed to confirm this, because he's obviously not a Force user, but it was confirmed that Han Solo in this movie was not a Force ghost, but just... I think it was supposed to be just like Kylo's consciousness talking to him in the form of his father or something like that.
It was
hallucination
or something Mark Hamill disguised as Harrison Ford. Which, that's another thing. Okay, Mark Hamill shows up. And even though he's a ghost, he holds a lightsaber.
That's right.
He
grabs the lightsaber.
I think this was in the How It Should Have Ended, but they... had the ending be all the Force Ghosts just show up with their lightsabers and kill Palpatine. That would have been so much cooler to have just all the Force Ghosts show up in this movie.
You see, I do appreciate that their voices are there, but I would have much rather preferred they all showed up as Force Ghosts.
But no, instead Rey just says, "I am all the Jedi," and just...
Yeah.
I also love how annoyed Mark Hamill looks in his scene.
Mark Hamill just...
He does not look like he
all
wants
over
to
the film.
be there.
Yeah, and basically every interview that he does during the sequel films being
They got mad
made,
at him for trashing Last Jedi.
he's just he thoroughly disagrees with what has been done with his character, and he's right to, because it's not what Luke Skywalker would frickin' do.
John Boyega, Finn's actor, his Twitter after this movie came out was interesting because he decided not to renew his contract with Disney.
Okay.
So he could openly speak out about, the sequel trilogy. Mm-hmm. He absolutely hates it.
Oh, yeah.
He hates the movies or just this one?
The sequel trilogy as a whole.
Wow.
He went on a huge because there was a group of people who shipped Kylo Ren and Rey. Mm-hmm. He went on a huge crusade against those people, and it was funny to watch.
Yeah.
I know at one point he thought, like, Finn and Poe would, like, hook up or something.
Which I can kind of see that-ish. But I don't know. Nothing makes sense. Nothing makes sense about anything.
There are also a few little details in there. Like, there was one part towards the beginning where Poe and Finn were flying in the Millennium Falcon. And there's, like, this creature that they dodge that looks sort of like a graboid from Tremors.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, I remember that.
Imagine if Kevin Bacon was in this movie.
Well, that would have been interesting.
Speaking of who is in this movie, they got Billy D. Williams back, which I'm fine with.
Oh yeah,
I'm fine with.
He was pretty cool.
I'm fine with that.
I liked how he was kind of more of a background character, not a central character.
That was my problem. I kind of wish they'd given him more to do.
If they would have given him more to do, they would have killed him.
Probably,
I think.
Yeah. I'd have been mad if they did that.
That's just how this trilogy works.
If you get a lot to do, you die.
The dark side.
The dark side of the Force.
And, of course, it goes without saying. They definitely, throughout the whole sequel trilogy, but especially throughout Last Jedi. Not Last Jedi. Rise of Skywalker. They all blend together. They especially don't respect the lore in that they're just like, oh yeah, light side's good, dark side's bad. Mm-hmm. Without ever acknowledging that basically the reason why the Republic got destroyed in the first one was because the Jedi were being so dogmatic and stuck in their ways and not intervening.
They went to war when they didn't want to.
Yeah, and it was just emotionless. The story of Star Wars aims to drive home that the Grey Jedi are the most correct Force users because they don't stick to just one side. You have to be balanced
if I remember
to be effective.
The original films and the prequels were kind of based on like the Richard Nixon administration.
What?
I've read that too.
Like Palpatine's supposed to be Richard Nixon, if I remember right. And also it was kind of based on like World War II, how Hitler got power and stuff, which you can definitely see in Revenge of the Sith.
That's what was cool about the prequels, that I guess most people are not into because most people don't care about politics. That's the thing about the prequels, is that everyone was extremely morally gray, including the Jedi in the prequels, because it was all about politics. And that's what made them interesting.
Dooku,
and then
because Count Dooku, he's like a Jedi that became disillusioned with how they were operating things and became a Sith.
Yes, correct.
Which I would like Yoda's to explore that more in Attack of the Clones.
Mm-hmm.
I just pulled up a page of some trivia, and I think there's only one piece of trivia that I think is worth sharing that I have found.
And what's that?
30 tons of black beans were shipped to Jordan to use as sinking sand.
to use a sinking sand.
I respect that.
Yep.
You kind of
30 tons of black beans.
What does that even look like?
A lot of beans.
Is that enough to fill a house?
I'll tell you what the result of eating all those beans looks like. This movie.
Yeah.
Oh man. Also, the back of Palpatine's throne. This is another little detail that I noticed. It the back of it sort of looks like the shot in the first Planet of the Apes film when Taylor sees the Statue of Liberty, but we just see the back of it.
Yeah.
Again, maybe I just noticed that because I was watching Planet of the Apes around the same time. I seriously want to know where all of Palpatine's followers came from.
Yeah, they're just kind of there.
They're singing in a choir, some demonic tabernacle or something.
Mm-hmm.
Why not make a movie about those guys instead? That'd probably be more interesting.
Probably. The more we talk about this film, I feel like the more we realize that you can't really talk about it intelligently because it completely lacks
We've been all
intelligence.
over the place. Yep. All over the place. I'm only just now starting to look at some of the notes I took on it.
We are an hour and a minute in. An hour and 2 minutes into recording.
There became a point while rewatching this where I just started playing songs over the movie to get through it faster. So I was playing the Beatles, Queen. There were some Queen songs that actually went pretty good with the battles and stuff.
You know what? You know what's incredibly disappointing to me? There was an early script of this leaked online that was completely different from the final product.
You told me about this.
Yeah, it's called Star Wars Episode 9, The Duel of the Fates.
I haven't read it, but I'm curious.
That sounds like a much better title.
Maybe for our next podcast, we can do a read-through of it.
I haven't read it myself, but apparently some of the stuff that was in there was that the majority of the film was going to take place on Coruscant. Ooh. Hux would have been the leader of the First Order and the New Empire. Yeah. And Kylo Ren was going to have completely turned to the dark side. There was going to be no conflict in him anymore, and he would have been a full villain.
Yes.
So that would have been interesting to see, I think.
Oh, it would have been much better also going back to Coruscant, which we haven't seen since episode 3.
And it sounds like it would have actually built on episode 8 instead of trying to quickly replace it.
Yeah. That was such a bizarre, unprofessional way to do it, might I add, is that they just kind of were just like, okay, that last movie, that one doesn't count. This is how it actually happened.
It's like the the Highlander sequels.
Yeah.
They're just like,
remember how
the previous one? That didn't happen. Including the second one.
Remember how Anakin's lightsaber broke at the end of The Last Jedi?
It's back alive now. It's fine.
The novelization said that Rey fixed it in her spare time.
Okay. I don't even have anything that's clever to say anymore. It's okay.
To paraphrase a Reagan quote, I didn't leave Star Wars. Star Wars left me.
Reagan, even from the grave, he knows what's going on.
So, after watching this movie in theaters, I took, a couple of notes. And by a couple of notes, I literally mean I wrote 2 things. One of which I totally forgot why I wrote it. I just wrote Power Ranger.
What?
Because there must have been something in the movie that looked like a Power Ranger, but I don't remember what it was.
Maybe it's they fly, or maybe it's the Sith Troopers. The Sith Troopers were dumb. Why do they exist? Why are they red? Why do they have a split visor?
Oh my god, that might have been it. That might have
I
been
think
it,
that
actually.
must have been it.
And the other thing,
Power Rangers.
The other thing I wrote wasn't really about the movie. It was just something I thought of. I was thinking, what if somebody just made a cut of the opening where, you know, when after the like opening crawl, you just see the stars and then it pans down. But instead of panning down to a ship, it just goes back up, just keeps panning into stars over and over again.
It just spins around for like an hour and a half.
Yeah. And then that's the whole movie.
I would have accepted that more than I would have accepted this movie, to be honest.
Also, some movies I saw recently that I didn't like, but I enjoyed more than this. Rock of Ages. Best Little Whorehouse in Texas.
Yeah.
Law and Order, which was a Western starring our good friend Ghost Reagan.
Yeah.
Striptease, which, I'm not even joking, there's a scene in that movie where somebody has a snake and its name is Monty Python.
What?
And Tim Burton's remake of Planet of the Apes.
Yes, all better films than this one.
I seriously doubt you've seen Best Little Whorehouse in Texas, but you're right.
If it is a film, it's probably better than this one. That's the rule. If it's a film. Actually, that idea that you had where instead of it panning down to a ship, the camera keeps spinning around for an hour and a half, that reminds me of the movie Empire.
Oh, yeah.
You know the one?
It does.
State Building. The Andy Warhol film.
It actually does sound like something David Lynch would film.
Or if
fucking David Lynch.
Or if all it is just Anakin rises up out of a chair and then the movie ends.
Yep.
I just found
I stole that from a meme. I'm sorry.
I actually just found the full script of The Duel of the Fates. It's 131 pages.
I think.
And I was just scrolling through went randomly to a page, and already Rose has twice as many lines in the script on just this one page that she has in the entirety of episode 9 that we got.
Well, that's not hard to accomplish. Darth
also,
Maul had more
C-3PO. C-3PO and R2-D2 appear to be attempting to steal kyber crystals from somewhere.
So what, is this Splinter of the Mind's Eye or something?
Well, already it sounds like it makes more sense. Well, of course it makes more sense. But
yeah,
this movie it feels like it was cobbled together by a madman. I mean,
yep. They just
like,
sat a guy in front. They took some deranged person on the street. They sat him in front of a TV.
I get to
they had him watch all the previous Star Wars films.
No,
and then they were like, "All right, make another one."
They didn't have him watch any of the previous Star Wars films. They just gave
I'm
him
just skimming
random script pages, and he's just like, "Oh yeah, I get to make a movie now. Here we go. This page goes here. This page goes here. Half of this page goes here, and the other half of it's the ending."
Yep. And that's how they made it.
Actually, it was probably even more.
I'm just skimming through this. I'm just skimming through this script, and it's so much better.
You know what we should do? We should do a podcast, and I already suggested doing this with Nick with the original script for The Empire Strikes Back. We read through it or something for one of our podcasts.
What's the ending of the PDF? Let's find out.
Tell me the last page. Oh! Leia was supposed to live until the end.
You're kidding.
Yep.
Well, of course I had to change that, because Carrie Fisher died.
Yeah.
Look at that. The last frickin' line of the Duel of the Fates script is what the core message of episode 6 was. only an understanding of balance can lead to peace and justice in the galaxy. There you go. Great Jedis. They are the best ones. And none of the friggin' sequel films has understood this, apparently.
Gosh, this movie. Another thing is, like, as a kid, you know, like most kids, I would, like, play with, like, Star Wars toys and stuff. I'm sure you guys did when you were kids, you know. And I remember, like, imagining what would an Episode 7 look like. And probably all the ideas I came up with as a kid were better than this.
What would an Episode 7 look like? Mediocre.
Okay, so here's something really cool from this script. So apparently something was supposed to happen to R2. He was going to get damaged but survive, I think. Okay. And C-3PO was helping them sort through his memories, and it would just project different things that both C-3PO and R2 had witnessed over the course of all the movies, including
as like a callback or something.
Including
I kind of would have liked
Luke buying. The things they listed was Luke buying C-3PO from the Jawas, Obi-Wan handing Luke his father's lightsaber, R2 flying through the Death Star trench, Han getting the medal on Yavin, Yoda lifting the X-Wing, Luke saluting from the plank on Jabba's barge, and Leia and Han outside the bunker on Endor.
R2 causing that one droid to explode, so they buy him instead.
Yeah. I would love to read this through sometime. This actually looks pretty great.
We should do that for another podcast or something.
Will do.
But as for things on the movie that we got, I think I am actually out of things to talk about with it.
And another thing we have to point out. This is the last one.
Yeah.
This was supposed to wrap
They've confirmed
it all up. At least with the
no original. More Skywalker sagas.
And for them to just handle that final chapter so carelessly and with so little planning behind it, it's insulting. I mean,
it was bad.
Star Wars is a world icon with the biggest, most dedicated fan base of like anything ever, and they just shit all over.
It makes me think of like, this is another better movie I watched around the time I rewatched this, Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. A beloved children's classic. I'm thinking of that quote Grandpa Joe says to Willy Wonka when they don't get the chocolate. You're a crook, you're a cheat and a swindler. That's what you are. How could you do a thing like this? Build up a little boy's hopes and then smash all his dreams to pieces? You're an inhuman monster.
That's pretty much,
Yeah, that about sums it up.
You nailed it.
Yeah.
Whenever you think about this film, you think, oh yeah, that reminds me of a better film that I saw this one time.
It's just so disappointing
it's because this film is so disinteresting. I have to talk about other films more interesting than this.
As a Star Wars fan and as a film critic, this is appalling. And that's all, ladies and gentlemen.
And also these films just, like, soured my opinion on, like, modern franchises a lot.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
Just come up with original stuff. Be like the 80s and the 90s where you had really kick-ass original stuff.
Like RoboCop, another way better movie I watched around the same time.
RoboCop is...
And Total Recall.
RoboCop is great.
Total Recall. RoboCop, Total Recall, two of my favorites.
Running Man.
Running Man's a better movie, too.
Eraserhead.
Oh, yeah, and I love Eraserhead. I love Eraserhead.
Dan Aykroyd.
That's not a movie, that's a person who is in movies, but whatever.
The movie, Dan Aykroyd.
No, probably the worst Dan Aykroyd movie is still somehow better than this.
Well, is that all? Have we covered everything?
I believe that's all for this episode,
so the people that made this just...
fuck you, we don't want you, we'll make a better film.
That kid, that bright, optimistic kid who loved Star Wars, doesn't exist anymore because of this stupid movie.
At least we got the final season of Clone Wars.
Yep.
At least we got that. Thank God.
At least now, some of the Star Wars stuff is in better hands, like Mandalorian.
Yes.
Hopefully whoever's in charge of the Kenobi series knows what they're doing.
Mm-hmm. And Mandalorian was actually quite good.
This isn't a movie, it's just a product off an assembly line.
Yeah.
With machine gears.
It turned out in the end what everybody feared it would, which was just a cash grab by Disney.
Yep. It's too bad.
So overall,
just give the people what they want.
So overall, I give this a 0 because there weren't enough flamethrowers.
I'm gonna give it a.
I'm kidding. I don't really have a rating for it, but that was more like IGN. That's what they would give this.
I'm going to give it at least 1.5 points out of however many points you want, just because they had B-wings in it. That's it.
My quick review of the movie is I'd give it a solid 2 out of 11.
2 out of 11.
They fly now.
Out of 11, what are you? Spinal Tap?
Absolutely.
Please go up to 11.
Sniff the glove, or is it smell the glove? I don't remember.
I think it's smell the glove.
Yes.
How much more black could this album get? And the answer is none. None more black.
And that's going to be all for this episode of the Films Under Constant Critique podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being here with us, and we will see you next time.
Thank you.
Goodbye.
Yeah.